A lonely loser makes a deal with the devil to win the affection of his dream girl. Special guests Ali and Matt from Good Movie, Bad Movie join us to chat about Satan's Post-it notes, a nerd that's more over the top than Urkel, and the best Sister Hazel song. Then we find out if 2000's Bedazzled stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today? James says gladiator with a glut, Alan says as a father blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of The Test of Time. I'm James Brief, and with me, as always, is my buddy and pal and co-host and director of this podcast, Alan Noah. How you doing, Al?
Hi, James. I am doing very well. And joining us both, we have two special guests from the Good Movie, Bad Movie podcast. It's Ali and Matt.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I am so excited that you're here. Matt, this is not your first time on the show. Ali, this is your first time here on The Test of Time. And in case our listeners missed it, James and I guested on Good Movie, Bad Movie. The good movie that we did was No Country for Old Men, and that was only me. James, you were sick that day, but then you joined for the bad movie, The Country Bears. If anyone missed those episodes, find Good Movie, Bad Movie, subscribe, find those episodes, listen to all of the episodes of Good Movie, Bad Movie. It's a wonderful podcast. It's great. Matt, after your episode about the Karate Kid, the fact that you and I share a love of Elizabeth Shue, and not just like a love, but like a love.
Yeah.
The look that you're making, it says it all. But you guys have a great podcast, and Ali, why don't you tell our listeners what that show is all about, just in case they're unfamiliar?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliments. I didn't pay him, you guys. I just want that on the record. So basically, our podcast is we watch one movie that is generally considered good, well-reviewed, popular, liked by most people who have seen it. And then with some sort of connecting tissue, we watch a movie that is generally considered bad. And it can even be as simple as it was distributed in the same year, or it has the same actor, or it can be extremely niche, like our first two episodes we did, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The One, which the theme was, what was it, like dimension hopping Asian actors? Like, it got really specific there. So yeah, it can be anything. And the fun part is at the end of every episode, we either say what's coming up next week, or we get to guess what the bad movie is. And I'm glad we do it, because even though we've watched a lot of terrible things so far, we've also watched a lot of good stuff.
Honestly, sometimes the bad movies are more fun. I think that's kind of your philosophy, James, right?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
You know, Al, it's a little bit of a special episode for The Test of Time as well, kind of a little nerdy milestone. This is episode 486. Do you know why that's significant?
No, because I'm not a nerd.
You're not that kind of nerd. You are a nerd.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
He's not that kind of nerd. But Matt, do you know?
I don't.
The computer chip, right?
Right. It was a very important computer chip, the 80486 by Intel. That was the first chip that really launched PC gaming. It could play Doom.
Everybody has to scream nerd on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Nerd!
Of course, that's where Pentium came from, because they didn't want to call it 586. And now I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, thank God. You guys picked Bedazzled.
Yeah.
And I don't remember why or how, but how did that come up? Why was this the movie that you picked?
Because I have unmedicated ADHD. That's not even a joke. I am diagnosed. My brain is constantly thinking whether I want it to or not. And when we had you guys on for No Country for Old Men and The Country Bears, you were like, okay, great. We'll have you guys on for something. And so that immediately pinged my brain to start thinking of movies. And so I came up with like a short list of movies that I was like, okay, what would be a good thing to discuss that like maybe we wouldn't do, because we try to aim for like one end of the extreme of the other of good or bad. So I was like, let me try to find a movie that sits somewhere in the middle. And I came up with a list of movies, and The very first one I decided to look up for like its Rotten Tomato score was Bedazzled, and it had exactly 50%. And I was like, I'm done. That's it. It's perfect.
Whoa.
Dead even 50%. Here we go.
I can say right now, having watched it, it's my second time watching it. I saw it in the theaters and I saw it for the second time for this podcast episode. I'm glad to have a 4-person consensus. I think this is going to be a very interesting podcast as we go through this movie.
Also, Matt has the uncanny ability to, even if I just say it in passing, like as a throwaway, if I say, oh, I haven't seen that, he just tucks it in the back of his brain. He's like, I'm going to get her to watch that. And like I said before we started, this has kind of just like been on my watch list for 25 years. It's always been maybe I'll watch that. But now I'm really glad that you guys picked it because I have not watched a silly movie in a long time. And I think right now we all need to sit down and enjoy a silly movie.
Agree. Okay, so James, you'd seen it once before. Allie, you hadn't seen it. Matt, had you seen this movie before?
I've seen this movie many times because I'm a huge fan of Brendan Fraser. Like, if you ask people, oh, have you seen his movies? I guarantee you most people say The Mummy and George of the Jungle. But, like, I've seen this. I've seen Encino Man. I've seen Dudley Do-Right. I've seen...
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, Airheads. I love Airheads.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've seen The Whale. I'm looking forward to his new movie, Rental Family.
Yeah.
And I've yet to see a performance of his where I was ever disappointed. Like, maybe the movie's not great, but there was nothing wrong with what he did in a movie.
There's some actors like that. I'll watch Meryl Streep in something bad, in that light. Harold Ramis directed this film.
Yeah.
The late Harold Ramis. He's probably known to most people as the actor who played Egon in the Ghostbusters films, but a lot of other people know him as he was behind the scenes for a lot of other Hollywood films, writing and directing some of the most famous comedies of the 80s and 90s.
And 70s.
And
Late
70s,
70s
right.
Animal House, Meatballs.
He directed Caddyshack and National Lampoon's Vacation, Analyze This.
So, James, you saw this in the theater. Did I see it in the theater with you? Do you remember?
It's very possible. This would be our senior year, so
yeah.
I could definitely see it going with you.
Okay, but you don't vividly remember it. Because
No.
I do remember seeing this movie in the theater, and my memory tells me it was on a date, but I don't remember who the date was, and it was in between girlfriends, and I was thinking about it. So that's why when you said you saw it in the theater, I was like, oh, maybe we saw it together. I asked Clint, my old roommate from college, if we saw it together. He said no. So if you don't remember it vividly, it might have just been a date that presumably didn't go very well because that was probably our first and only date. But before we really dig in, James, why don't you tell our listeners what Bedazzled is all about?
Sure. This film is a remake, and this film, the 2000 version, this movie is about Elliot Richards, a socially awkward man who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for 7 wishes to win over the woman of his dreams. Each wish seems perfect at first, but quickly backfires in twisted ways. From becoming wealthy and powerful to overly sensitive and even a world-famous athlete, every scenario ends in disaster. Ultimately, Elliot learns the importance of self-acceptance, true love, and making his own choices rather than relying on shortcuts.
Okay, so you and I saw this movie in the theaters, but how did it do when it came out in 2000, James?
The film wasn't a huge hit domestically. It was released on October 20th, 2000, with a budget of $48 million. And It opened at number 2 with $13.1 million. This film was beaten at the box office by another unexpected Robert De Niro hit. What do you think that was in 2000?
Meet the Parents.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. And I think they're making a 4th one.
Yeah.
So, we'll probably review that film at some point.
Yeah.
But the film only, it opened up with $13.1 million, and it had about a triple multiplier, ending with $38 million domestically, $90 million worldwide. So, I mean, a modest film. Not a flop, but certainly no Groundhog Day.
Okay, so when the movie starts, it's doing a lot of sped up footage, and it's identifying people and their good or bad attributes. I guess this is supposed to be Satan scanning the world, looking for someone that she can steal the soul. I'll just go with she for the devil because it's Elizabeth Hurley in this movie. When we first see Elliot, the tags for him say sad, pathetic, lonely, doormat, and it's not voiceover, which is the thing that I hate the most, but it is still doing the same kind of thing where it's showing and telling you about who this character is, and you get all of that from just seeing the character. Like, we don't need the text on screen to tell us that he's pathetic and lonely.
You know what kind of took me out, though? When they were showing like a tribe in Africa, one of them was like, he has medical debt. And I'm like, really? He's got medical debt? But then it also shows one of the people in the credits. It says talks during movies. And I'm like, straight to hell. Immediately, they don't get a second chance. That is the ultimate sin to me.
Fair.
Yeah, I looked at that opening as like, yeah, it's the devil kind of scanning things and like maybe doing like little Post-it notes. Like here are points of weakness that I can work on with these people. Because one of my favorites is like you see the hot dog vendor and it says like overeducated.
I like the beginning. I just wish it wasn't something completely abandoned for most of the film. You only see it in the opening.
It does come back at the very end.
Right. It's
Yeah.
bookended. It's bookended at the very end of the film. In this film, they did something I don't like, and they show that he's meek and pathetic and feeble. Why? Because he has glasses, you know? And by the end of the film, he's not going to have glasses. They don't quite explain why his eyesight's better.
Unfortunately, I have a term for that shape, and it's the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. I'm sorry, that's just what they look like. Anytime they're that shape, that's immediately what I think of. So
That's
I
fair.
don't think that was a conscious decision, though.
No, I thought he kind of looked like Egon from Ghostbusters in the beginning of the film, honestly.
Interesting.
I definitely thought he looked like, your classic nerd, and he had that horrible 90s bowl cut in the beginning of the film.
Elliot is pathetic in his social interactions, right? He just doesn't know how to interact with his coworkers, and he really, really wants to be their friend, and they really, really do not want to be his friend. You're supposed to feel bad for the guy because all he wants in the world is just a pal, someone to play basketball with, to get a beer with after work, to be interested in his Polaroid photos of speakers, and they all are just nasty to him. Like, he's pathetic, but they're also super obnoxious, and I kind of was feeling like I'm not rooting for any of these people. I don't want him to get in with this group. He deserves better. They don't deserve him, but they also don't deserve each other. Like, I don't know. I just kind of hate everyone.
It felt like a square peg, round hole situation where it's like, you can be good at your
Yes.
job, but you don't have to be friends with your coworkers. And even in my notes, I'm like, this guy needs a D&D group. He just needs some, like, other people that are on his level that he can, like, hang out with and get really nerdy. It's not a big deal if your coworkers don't like you as long as you're professional, you know?
Sure.
But it does hurt his feelings. I get that.
He's kind of Michael Scott-esque, where he wants to be nice, but some of his stuff really kind of comes off maybe even a little bit creepy.
I think more than maybe when it comes to Allison, who he's been obsessing over for 3 years and said one sentence to her once, and he's just been quote unquote in love with her for years. I think that's definitely creepy.
I don't think it's necessarily creepy because he's never even talked to her. He just kind of has a crush on her from afar, which I feel like is a little flaw with the movie. I feel like he only likes her because she's pretty, and the actress Frances O'Connor is an attractive woman. But that's all I know about Allison, and I wish it was a little bit like maybe they worked together and she was in the friend group and he actually did like her and she knew him a little bit. But I get why he has a crush on her, but I wish it was more than just her being pretty.
The crush from afar is fine. It's when he goes up to her and is like, hey, remember the day we met? I have every detail about it stored in my brain where it was
Right.
raining.
Yes.
And you like wore these shoes or whatever. And that's like, okay, nice to see
Right.
you. I'm going now.
Early June 3 years ago.
Right, unless it was actually memorable in which he'd remember it, but he remembers the most mundane thing because to him, of course, it's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. But I agree with you, Al, too. I didn't like that friend group.
I do like that they kind of Wizard of Oz to that friend group, meaning that in every scenario, they're still like in the picture. They're just playing different characters. I thought that was fun.
It is fun, although I couldn't help but think that there's Orlando Jones and then the others. Because he is so funny. He is memorable in all of the different scenarios and all of the different wishes. He's just more magnetic as an actor. than the other people whose names I could pull up on IMDb, but I don't remember them. I think one of the guys was in Reno 911 as like a recurring character, not one of the cops.
Toby Huss.
Yeah. They all just kind of pale in comparison to Orlando Jones.
Agreed.
And with Elliot's nerdiness, and as the movie progresses, I always kind of view this movie as it's a live action cartoon.
Yeah.
And that's what his nerdiness is. Like, it's so over the top that it's just sort of like, you aren't in reality.
Yeah.
And like the way he just walks around and he's like, hey, how's it going, dudester? It's like he's even more over the top than like Urkel.
Yes.
And I think it plays into what kind of world they're setting up, because like later when he, returns from being the Colombian drug lord, he slams onto the hood of the car and he's fine. That's what Bugs Bunny would do.
Right. I think that's totally fair. But so while he's at the bar and after he makes that creepy comment to his crush, Allison, he meets the devil, played by Elizabeth Hurley, who is beautiful, of course. I mean, she looks great. And there are so many parts of the movie where they are just letting you know, hey, in case you weren't sure, Elizabeth Hurley is gorgeous. We're going to put her in super skin-tight, skimpy outfits. There's the leather outfit and the cheerleader outfit and the sexy school teacher outfit. It's just a lot of her being gorgeous.
Yeah. And for me, that plays because like I've seen Elizabeth Hurley in other things and they dress her like that. And I'm like, there's no reason she should be wearing that outfit. Whereas with this, it's like, well, she's the devil and she's trying to entice everybody over and over and over again.
Right.
The wardrobe in this film is spectacular, and I never look it up. And it's funny what you said, Matt, how you've seen her in other things. She's also gorgeous in Austin Powers. It's the same costume designer. It's this woman, Dina Appel, and she's done a lot of really famous films. She's a fantastic wardrobe designer.
I also like that, yes, it's very literal with the red, but it's also extremely 2000s. Like when they pop out of that closet and she's wearing those leather pants with a belly shirt that's like literally bedazzled with all of those rhinestones that were super popular around then. And then not even intentionally, the first night that he meets her and she's posing on the hood of that car, it's Britney Spears in the Oops, I Did It Again video. It's just head to toe, like red, shiny pleather or leather.
And I would say, other than perhaps when she's a meter maid, none of the things look like a costume. It was actually very well done.
And what I also like about her constant costume changes is that she's constantly changing costumes in the same scene. Like she'll get in the car with one outfit, then she'll step out with another. There's this great moment later in the movie where she like walks, like they go back to her nightclub and Brendan Fraser never leaves the frame. She goes behind the partition with one outfit and the camera just keeps panning, and then she comes out in in like the angel outfit, and I was like, that was a good effect.
It is. I also enjoy her theme song, which is Wild Thing. James, who sings that song?
Well, it's spelled TONELOC, so there's no need for me to try to say.
No, I would love for you to just say his name, please. James, could you say his name, please? Thank you.
Tony Locke?
No, it's Tone Loc. Jesus, come on.
Make this man watch Ace Ventura.
Watch Fern Gully.
he was in Blank Check.
Right,
Yes.
and that's when you first called him Tony Locke, and I laughed. That made me laugh so hard. It's so funny.
Tony Locke is Tone Loc's Bizarro. Like
There we go. I knew you were going to get me with that. Thank you. But let's go into the wishes. And I think for the purposes of, let's call this the first wish, even though we'll maybe find out it isn't the first wish. But the first wish, when he says, I wish to be someone rich and powerful and have Allison as my wife. And then he wakes up. He says he doesn't speak Spanish, and there's subtitles saying that. And then he says, wait a second, I speak fabulous Spanish. Some big biblioteca.
There was an old video on YouTube, the 1 semester of Spanish love song. I think biblioteca is in it, but it's a guy who's trying to do a romantic song in Spanish, but all he remembers is just those first few words you learn in Intro to Spanish in sixth grade or whatever. And yeah, that's kind of what he's saying. Mi gato es muy blanco and stuff like that. He doesn't know Spanish, but he does know Spanish, but he doesn't know that he knows Spanish. And the way the wishes work is confusing and not particularly well explained, and also perhaps not terribly consistent. But that one thing is kind of consistent, where in a lot of the wishes, he learns something about himself as he's in that persona.
Yeah.
Can we give it up for the actors? Because I don't know how much Spanish they knew before getting these parts, but there came a time where I had to turn on subtitles because I realized, well, maybe it's just the service I was using, but they weren't coming on. And I'm like, they're still going. This whole wish is in Spanish, and then you have some Russian thrown in there too. I'm like, that's really impressive.
Yeah. I think the quote-unquote lesson of this wish is that being rich and powerful isn't all it's cracked up to be. People are going to try to take your money and your power. And also, maybe as a corollary to that, Allison is married to him, but marriage does not equal love. We don't really get their backstory in this universe, but if you assume that she only married him because he was rich and powerful, then that is not marrying for love. That is marrying for status. Because that marriage is not based on love, it's not going to be a happy marriage.
In that first wish, was he wearing a prosthetic nose?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I couldn't quite tell, and I wasn't sure if my eyes were playing tricks on me. So like a ding-dong, I Googled Brendan Fraser nose bedazzled, and stupid AI said there is no information or evidence to suggest Brendan Fraser's nose was bedazzled. I'm like, that is not my question.
But it's good to know.
AI sucks.
I think it's right in this case, right? We don't know that his nose was bedazzled.
Fair. But also, too, in the later wish, when he gets very presidential, I'm fairly certain that they definitely tried to make him look more like Lincoln.
I think the only wish where they don't change him is when he's the author. Everything else, they've done something to him.
Yes, in that wish, he looks like Brendan Fraser.
The part that always makes me go like, ugh, every time is where he tears off half his mustache and the skin with it, because that effect looks really good. Like, that looks like how the skin would look underneath, and I know it's coming, and I'm always just sort of like, oh god, it looks too real.
But to your point about it being cartoony, right?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
You can't actually pull off half of a mustache.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm overthinking it, but like when this wish happens, is this technically a different timeline? And if so, why are his friends the same people? And did they grow up in Spain? Did they move to Spain? Why is English not the first language? Like, I really was thinking too hard about a silly ass movie.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
I'm known for that.
Sometimes you can use the, I take it from The Simpsons, a wizard did it. But in this case, you can just say the devil did it, and the devil has those powers. So I think in this particular universe, I think you could just excuse any of those parts away by saying devil did it.
That works for me.
All right, so the next wish, he wants to be the most sensitive man in the world, and then he catches himself by saying, no, the most emotionally sensitive. And then Elizabeth Hurley has that great look on her face when she's like, oh, I was hoping you wouldn't catch that. And in the next wish, he is a redhead with so many freckles, and he can't stop crying. And she loves him, but he is too sensitive. She's trying to talk to him about something, and he can't listen to her because he's too busy crying over the sunset and writing sonnets and sketching her. I think the implication of what she wants to say to him is that she's upset that they haven't had sex. Right? Matt, you think so? Allie, you're not so sure?
Probably. Yeah.
Oh, I totally didn't get that. I just thought he was just being so kind of whiny. I did think that they were totally saying that sensitive means effeminate. And maybe they've had sex, but I think it's the kind of thing where he probably cries for 30 minutes after they make love. And she does say in passing, she goes, Elliot, I love you, but this is just driving me crazy that you cry with every sunset.
The minute he pulls out the acoustic guitar, I'm like, this is what Barbie was talking about. Don't do this.
Yes, exactly. When she goes off with the other guy, the reason that she gives is that she just wants someone to pretend to be interested in her so that they can get into her pants. That kind of led me to the they haven't had sex theory. Also, I did see that there was some other stuff in the movie that was cut out because they wanted to get a PG rating. So I think that they were deliberately trying to not be too risque.
And this wish has a fun little reference in it because the devil comes up with the two dogs and she says, Peter, Dudley. I think it's Peter Cook and Dudley Moore who were the stars from the original movie.
And they wrote the original movie as well.
Yeah.
I did catch that because those are weird names for dogs.
Yeah.
Peter and Dudley.
But the next wish, this had my favorite joke of the entire film. This is when he becomes the professional basketball player, presumably the NBA. I was a huge Knicks fan in the 90s. I don't know if you ever, if you're familiar with a basketball player named Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
But he used to have his post interviews and he was raining from his head.
I love this bit. It's so funny.
It's so good.
There's a Key and Peele sketch that later people would joke about. It became a meme. But I always liked that joke. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, I love the
same.
sweating. Not just that he's sweating, but like as the interview goes on, he sweats more. And then he's like sweating on the guy interviewing him.
Kind of into his mouth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I do like also his friends being the announcers doing announcer voice.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were supposed to be channeling any announcers specifically. That's definitely out of my wheelhouse. But, you know, the blah, 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 I can't do it. Who's got a good announcer voice? I just sound like I'm congested.
Well, that is kind of how they sound. And it is very much how athletes sometimes sound with the, well, you know, I just try to give 110%. And I think today I gave 110%.
That whole line of like, you know, you want to play good, you know, you hope to play good. I think we played pretty good. I know so many people who, as a joke, use that quote and they have no idea where it's from. So like
Really?
that quote's just sort of out there.
That's funny. That moment of the movie was memorable. Like while I was watching it the other day, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. And I remember thinking this was funny. I don't think most of the rest of the movie has entered pop culture zeitgeist to that degree.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
They tried to be like, he's so stupid, he doesn't remember the pager number is 666 because he has it hanging all these different times in his locker and he can't get it right. Oh, and the little sort of rat tail at the end, it's like Allison in this timeline, universe scenario, whatever. Okay, yeah, you're going to hit on him because you think he's really hung, but just, sorry, the hair would have been a no. It's a no for me, dog. Like, why even take the time if that's what you're working with?
That hair was pretty horrible. I did think, though, yes, he does have presumably very small genitalia in this film, but he also is a professional athlete. So I think he would have still ended up with a beautiful woman.
Maybe it's a steroid situation. We just never got to that part of the story.
That's true as well. I mean, we also don't know what exactly we're talking about when he looks down there.
The next wish is when, you know, he realizes, okay, well, he doesn't want to be just athletic and strong. He wants to be smart because he is not smart as this NBA player, and he wants to have a regular sized penis. Not huge, not gargantuan, but not tiny either. But he wants to be smart and witty and for people to like him for his intellect. In that next wish, where he looks like Brendan Fraser, he is so erudite, he is so well-spoken, and the joke is that he's gay. Again, like, you know, with the speaking Spanish thing, he doesn't realize that about himself. It's there, and he just has to kind of discover that, even though he knows all of these things about the classic period that he's prattling on about for his best-selling book. So that knowledge is there. I think the movie kind of tips its hand a little bit with the joke when they are so close to kissing, and he just keeps waxing poetic about her skin and he's using every big word under the sun, and you don't necessarily know that the reason he's doing that and hesitating to kiss her is because he's gay. You think it's just kind of a play on the movie trope where two characters are clearly going to kiss and then it just takes forever. So it works as a joke on two levels, and then when you find out he's gay, it's like, oh, that's why he couldn't kiss her.
Yeah.
The gay jokes are, I mean, it's 25 years old, so yeah, little dated, but I have to say, I did genuinely laugh when it's finally said that he's gay, like he's in the room with his partner, and the guy playing him goes, "Who is the cast of whatever?" And he lays on his stomach, kicks his feet up, and points his toes.
Yes.
I howled.
I watched this movie with Sarah, my wife, and she had seen this movie, but like once forever ago, so she remembered almost nothing. And we both know who like Toby Huss is because we've seen him in so many different things, and we're both like fans of his as a character actor. And when that scene came up, and when he like sat up with like that haircut that he has, she like just reached out and like grabbed my shoulder. That to her means this is so funny. And then I just looked at her and I go, "This is why you put Toby Huss in this movie, for this scene." And he does that whole thing. She did that laugh where like no sound comes out, but like you're laughing.
That wig gave me the same reaction as Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner wig, which is, honey, no.
Right.
It's just so bad.
It does kind of play into some gay tropes there at the end with the way he kicks his feet up and he's asking about the Broadway cast. Maybe my bar is set so low, just having watched so many movies on the podcast where the gay quote-unquote jokes are just slurs. And, you know, it's just so shitty when you watch older movies. In this movie, he's a gay character who's really, really smart and everybody loves him. And I feel like this is not terrible.
Yeah.
If someone was offended by the show tunes thing at the end, he knows every cast member from this one random Broadway show. Okay, fair. That's playing into a trope. But I feel like this is not terribly offensive.
No, I agree.
It's also like the bigger picture, wider context, because everything in this film is silly.
Yes.
It's like, I can't really be offended or be too mad because of the time it was made, and the joke isn't really that he's gay. The joke is that the devil got him again.
Yes.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to get everything that he wanted.
Exactly.
So, can't hate it that much.
I agree with you completely. There's nothing offensive here. For me, it just unfortunately wasn't funny.
To me, the funniest part of the scene is less, you know, it's not that he's gay. It's the banter between him and his boyfriend. Like,
Yes.
like there's the part where, you know, Elliot's trying to explain that he's not gay, and then his boyfriend's like, "And I'm Tony Danza." And Elliot goes, "Shut up, bitch."
Right. So for his next wish, he wishes to not just focus on himself as he's done for the past few wishes. He wants to do good for the world.
Something dignified.
Right. He wants to be president. I didn't really remember where this was going, and you know, just watching the movie in 2025, like a guy selling his soul to be president. Okay. Cough, cough. But, you know, the joke is that he's Lincoln. He didn't say which president, and why would he be a president from the past in all of the other wishes? He's in the contemporary timeline. The devil did it, and it's funny.
I think it's the simplest way to escape assassination, though. Way simpler than Kennedy 5 minutes before, you know, the assassin from, you don't know exactly where that's coming from. I think it's pretty easy to just say, hey, watch this curtain right here. Just watch it and don't let anyone in. That's it. And you're safe.
Building on what Alan said, I do like the small scene right before he decides he wants to be president is an objectively attractive woman telling a room full of dumb boys in red ties that foreigners should speak English anyway. And I just found that interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the minute he goes, "I wish I was the prez," I out loud to no one went, "No, you don't. No, you don't. No, please don't do this."
Right. All right. But so then Elliot basically decides he doesn't want to make any more wishes. He's kind of done with the whole thing. But he thinks he has 2 more wishes. And the devil says, no, you only have 1 more. Because earlier in the movie, when they first met, to prove that she was a devil, she says, "I'll grant you anything you want." And he wishes for a Big Mac and Coke, which costs $3.47.
No fries, though. Then it's like $23.
That's true.
That was bullshit that Elliot had to pay for his own wish.
Devil.
Right.
She's the devil.
But there's an important scene where Elliot is arrested He shares a jail cell with a character who is giving him wisdom. And is this God or is this an angel? I think it's supposed to, at the very least, represent an angel or someone from the good side, the good place.
Yeah.
Angel was my vibe.
I read something where on the director's commentary, they say that it's an angel. In the credits, he's listed as Elliot's cellmate. They don't want to make it explicit that it's God, but it's God. I thought it was God.
I thought it was God.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, you see the devil and God playing chess, and then, like, the devil's cheating, and ha 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 ha. To me, it almost doesn't make sense if he's just an angel, because if you have Satan as a character, and the devil talks about God earlier and how, oh, everyone wants to know about God. Right before that, he's at the church and he's talking to Reverend Brian Doyle Murray and says that he wants to talk to God. So yeah, he gets to talk to God, and God gives him the advice that, hey, you can't sell your soul because the soul doesn't belong to you. It belongs to God. To me, it was clear that it was supposed to be God.
I agree.
Okay.
It's almost like they wanted to start to set up some kind of loophole, but then the way it resolves itself in the end doesn't really have to do with the fact that you can't sell your soul. It's just the nice wish clause.
Right. It's a classic Deus Ex Machina. It wasn't hinted at in any way. He didn't even say, hey, what's this small print here? Oh, it's nothing. It's about, selfish wishes. Never mind. There was absolutely no mention of some kind of clause that he can get out of it. Now, I was thinking this was going to be one of those classic, like, I wish I never met you.
That's what I thought he was going to ask for.
Right. The last wish, it turns out, he says, I wish that Allison has a happy life. And it turns out that if you make a selfless wish, that it nullifies the contract and you get to keep your soul, which I think is perfectly fine. But, it was never, ever mentioned. So it qualifies as a Deus Ex Machina.
Fair.
You're not wrong, but I think because it's in the contract and you do see the contract earlier, you could argue that it's not the most egregious Deus Ex Machina ever. I can't really debate this with you because I do think it comes out of nowhere. I think what bothers me more is that how he gets to making that wish, the selfless act of, I wish for Allison to have a happy life. Why? There's really no arc for Elliot. I mean, he has that conversation with God. God doesn't tell him what to do other than, well, yeah, you can't sell your soul. He just kind of realizes it because he's frustrated by the devil. It doesn't come from anywhere.
But also, too, he's had so little interaction with her. You're trying to tell me that you're going to use your last wish on a woman that you've never, truly interacted with before this, hoping that she has a happy life. It's like, okay, yeah, it gets you out of the whole soul thing. But he's putting all of his eggs in that basket, and I'm like, my dude, D&D group, put yourself on seriously, something else. You can't throw it all on this one person who you don't even know if you have a connection with.
Exactly.
There are all these kind of loopholes. I'm like, wait, so no one has ever wished for world peace for any of their 7 wishes? My problem I kind of have with this is I'm wondering, is Allison even a good person?
Right.
When she's in a universe where she has, a meek little office job, she's very quiet and very sweet. But it turns out when she's attracted to money and fame, but if you got a small dick, she's going away. And, presumably, maybe the Colombian drug lord was absolutely in love with her and she cheats on him with Raul. I think presumably the sensitive guy really was annoying. But she's not necessarily a good person. That's the problem I have. I wish they kind of established that she really is a good person. They kind of have a good rapport, and you don't need the devil or any of these wishes. Just talk to her because it's obvious you two like each other. But she's just pretty.
Question for the men.
Yeah.
So the basketball scenario. Would you want to hook up with somebody if all they cared about was that anyway? I mean, yeah, he's big and dumb and whatever, an athlete. But if you are approached by somebody who is generally attractive, but that's all that they care about.
You're saying, would a man want to have sex with a woman who's only attracted to us physically? I mean, Have you ever met a man? I mean, yeah.
All
I think
right.
yes.
That's the history of men.
So disappointed. Oh, okay. I figured that was the case, but I just wanted to hope that, like, Elliot is not really embraced by other people. It's like, do you even have, like, a tiny bit of respect for yourself?
Sure, if you're looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
But if a beautiful woman comes into the locker room and just wants to interview you for some intimate time or whatever she says, yeah, I think most single athletes would go along for that. And probably some that aren't single too, honestly.
But he does gain that confidence by the end. All it takes is being sent to literal Dante's Inferno, fire and brimstone, hell.
Hanging off the end of a trident, screaming at the top of your lungs.
And if we could just all do that, I'll bet we'd all call our parents more.
It's not literal hell, right? She says that it was just special effects and she didn't actually bring him to hell.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, Elliot has confidence, which, hey, great, wonderful. But then when one of the coworkers is giving him a hard time, like he grabs him by the shirt. It's like, yeah, you can't do that, you know? And like the guy was being a dick, to be sure, but that's assault. Don't grab your coworkers. And maybe he's a little too overly confident.
They should have rewritten it that the guy pokes him once, like the kind of jock to nerd thing. What are you going to do about it, Poindexter? And then the moment he touches him, then he grabs his collar and it's like, you don't mess with Elliot anymore.
Right.
Then there's basically the epilogue where he has the confidence to talk to Allison. He just said, I've noticed you before, and I've always wanted to just maybe ask you for a cup of coffee. I think it was a perfectly fine way to ask a woman out that you've seen before.
Sure.
But she says she's seeing somebody. And of course, he says the line, he's a very lucky guy. And he goes back to his apartment, and it turns out that there's a woman. It's played by actress Frances O'Connor, the same actress as Allison, but it's a totally different woman who is not related to Allison. And she's just kind of maybe the manic pixie dream girl version of Allison.
Yeah, it annoys me that it's the same actress.
Yeah.
That she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
If it was a different actress and, a similar kind of character who's supposed to be more like Elliot, okay, fine. You could do that as a way to have a nice little button to your movie where he meets someone else and they all live happily ever after. Cheesy, but fine. But yeah, the fact that it's this cosmic thing that he has to end up with someone who looks just like this person, why? It seems weird and unnecessary, and maybe, to your point, Matt, cartoony?
Cartoony, yeah. And maybe just to not hire one more actor and keep the budget down.
Maybe. That very well could be it.
But then my question is, because at the beginning when he's with his coworkers at the bar and they see Allison and they're like, no, she's dating that guy. And Elliot's like, no, that ended 3 months ago. And then he asks her out and he's not aware that she's seeing someone. And for somebody who takes notice of her so much, you'd think he'd know that. So my question is his wish for her to have a happy life what caused her to now be in this relationship?
Time guy, you're doing it again.
Whoa. You blew my mind, Matt. Maybe. That would also be sort of the devil kind of still being a trickster, right?
Exactly.
Where the wish isn't exactly what you think it's going to be. I like that. I like that theory a lot. All right. Well, Allie, I'll ask you first because this is your first time on the Test of Time. If you think that Bedazzled stands the test of time, you can also say if you think it's a good movie or a bad movie. But what'd you think of the movie as a whole?
I think if this was done today, the scenarios would be different, but the message would be the same. So I think it does stand the test of time.
Okay.
And I do think it's a good movie. I enjoyed myself watching it, even though this kind of story has been told a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different times. This incarnation was just like, yeah, just kick your feet up for an hour and a half. Don't take it too seriously and enjoy Brendan Fraser making goofy faces. So I'm on board. This was a good one.
All right. Matt, what do you think?
I agree with our discussion that, there are parts of this plot that definitely need work, that, the arcs aren't very strong. But at the end of the day, it's a comedy. And even though I've seen it a bunch, it still makes me laugh. And that's what I want from a comedy most. So yes, it does stand the test of time. Like Ali said, we've gotten this story before. We'll get it again of, I'm going to sell my soul to get that thing I really want. And then I'm going to learn a lesson at the end. And he does learn a lesson. And yeah, I think it's a good movie because I adore Brendan Fraser in this movie. I really like his chemistry with Elizabeth Hurley. And I just think overall this movie is just really cute.
Okay. All right. James, what do you think? Does Bedazzled stand the test of time?
Well, first, I think the performances in this film are really good. I think Elizabeth Hurley, underrated actress. I think she's very good in this film. I think Brendan Fraser, he has to play like 6 different roles in this film, and he does them very well. The problem I think I have with this film plot-wise, one, I've talked about already, Allison. I just think that the character, I don't get the motivation, and I'm not really rooting for him to get with Allison because I don't really see that there's much of a connection other than she's very pretty. And I really didn't like the Deus Ex Machina. I don't know.
Deus Ex Machina.
But I really don't like that clause. I wish they had hidden it in there somewhere. Maybe the God character in jail could have said, maybe than just saying he doesn't belong to you. Yeah, but I signed a contract. Yeah, but maybe there's things in there you don't know about. Just give the audience a hint of like, oh, there might be something he could do. We don't have to know exactly explicitly what it is. One thing I love about this film, it is short. It's 85 minutes or so without the credits. I mean, that's a quick film. I actually don't find this film that funny, and that is my problem with this film. There's some stuff that's funny. I feel like that probably if you gave him 6 more months or maybe edited differently, maybe there's a better film here. Maybe I didn't know about it had to be a PG-13 as opposed to R. I'm not sure if R jokes would have made this funnier, but I just think it needed to be funnier for me. Plot, I don't care about plot really in a film like this. I say it does not stand the test of time, but I'm not saying this is a terrible film. Just for me, it wasn't funny, but I'm glad other people think, and I'm not thinking like, how do they think it's funny? I get it. It just didn't hit for me.
That's fair.
Is it going to be 2 yes, 2 no, Al, or is it going to be 3-1, everyone ganging up on James? What do you say?
Put the drum roll effect here.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, James. I think that for a movie like this, I could overlook more of the problems with it if it was funnier. I don't think it's all that funny. And I also do think that I'm kind of grading this movie on an unfair curve because it was written and directed by Harold Ramis. And I love Harold Ramis. There's only a handful of movies that he wrote, produced, and directed. Groundhog Day, this movie, Bedazzled, and Year One, which was that Jack Black, Michael Cera caveman movie. I think maybe I saw that one. I don't really remember. I don't think it was good. I know it was panned. I was kind of comparing this movie to Groundhog Day because Groundhog Day is a movie with a pretty silly, ridiculous premise that asks a lot of big, deep questions about the human condition and really explores this one particular character, Phil, but also what it means to be a person and how we learn and how we grow. It's really, really funny and also really, really deep. And I feel like Bedazzled is neither of those things. It's not that funny, and it's really not deep. And if it was one or the other, maybe I would like it more. But I feel like the fact that it is just these silly scenarios that don't really have much of a coherent thread in terms of character growth, I could get into that if it was funnier. Or if it was just a deeper meditation on why someone would make a deal with the devil, and maybe it wasn't as funny as it wanted to be, but it made some really interesting points and really kind of made you think, I could get into that too. But I can't help but feel like Harold Ramis should have done better. And maybe if he wrote or directed it, I could blame it on the writer or director. I could blame the other person. But since he did both, I kind of feel like I have to blame him a bit. And I don't want to do that. And that makes me feel icky and sad because I love Harold Ramis. I do want to correct myself. I said that the movie had to be rated PG. It was rated PG-13, the thing about the Big Mac and the Coke being a wish was because there was another wish where Elliot was a rock star, and there was a lot of cursing and sex and drugs, and that was too much for the PG-13. They wanted to make it more family friendly, which I get, fine, but the movie as a whole, I don't think it stands the test of time. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but kind of what you were saying earlier, Matt, about how it's like right in the middle of not amazing or terrible. It's at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I see that.
Same.
It's, as the kids would say, mid.
I think it's appropriately rated at 50%. I get it.
Yeah.
Yes. This is kind of a random thing that has nothing to do with the movie standing the test of time or being a good movie or a bad movie or not. But the movie ends with Change Your Mind by Sister Hazel. And I will not die on the hill that that's a great song. But I will die on the hill that that is a much better song than their bigger hit, All For You, which sucks and is a lame, generic song. And this is the better Sister Hazel song.
How does this song go again, Al?
Change Your Mind?
Yeah, how does it go?
If you want to be somebody else, change your mind.
Woo!
Oh, right. Thank you very much.
Which is better than All For You, which is, it's hard to say what I do to see in you.
Voice of an angel.
Thank you. This is why I don't get invited to karaoke parties. And I have to host them myself. Just kind of a random thing because it was like, oh yeah, Sister Hazel. Remember them? And remember that they had another song?
I did Shazam it because I'm always curious if I don't recognize it off the bat. I'm like, Sister Hazel? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Exactly. Oh, and then also just, it's a pager to call the devil. That doesn't stand the test of time because who the hell knows what a pager is.
Is that thing a pager? It's like a cheap calculator that only holds 3 numbers. Like, there's nothing about it that looks like a pager.
I feel like there were pager models that look kind of sort of like that a little. Maybe not exactly. But Allie and Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun. I loved this conversation, and you can definitely come back whenever you want. This was a blast.
This was fun. And again, thank you. A silly movie every now and then sometimes just hits the right spot.
Yes. Also, the thing about podcasting is you always want to do good and, give 110%. And I feel like you both gave 110% and we did good. So thanks for giving 110%. That's what I'm really trying to say. Where can people find Good Movie, Bad Movie? I listen on Spotify. I assume it's on all of the podcast places.
Yes, you can find it. Yeah, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. It's on the RSS feed. Search Good Movie, Bad Movie. Ignore the pretenders out there who tried to rip us off after we started our podcast. Not one, but two of them.
Exist.
What?
Yes.
What?
One just blatantly ripped off our name and concept, but they only released 3 episodes and then stopped making episodes. And then somebody else ripped off our concept and flipped the name. And it was like, okay. Well, both those shows no longer do episodes. We're still going. You will find us. If you find Good Movie, Bad Movie, you'll see Allie and Matt.
Also on the socials, it's Good Movie, Bad Movie Pod on Instagram and just Good Movie, Bad Movie on Blue Sky.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. I look forward to having you come back on the show at some point. That'll be a good time. That's going to do it for us this week. Next week, it's our Halloween spooktacular episode, and we're going to be talking about Candyman, the original movie from 1992 starring Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd. I've never seen this movie. My wife Courtney really wants to watch it for Halloween, and she said we've got to watch it. We've got to talk about it on the podcast. So I'm really looking forward to talking about Candyman next week. In the meantime, we want to hear your thoughts on Bedazzled, on making deals with the devil, on NBA players with small penises, on Colombian drug lords, on all of the things. We love hearing from you. We are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.